Alright, so we'll do the back side now and take a look at these two graphs. Not so negative this time, so that's good. We have a standard form and an intercept form of our graph to go. So we'll go ahead and, again, either you're entering this in Desmos or you have a graphing calculator. Either one will help you out. Minus 6x plus 3. I went to y is equal to, and I entered that into my graphing calculator. I can take a look at a picture of it, and I can see where this graph is going to cross my axes. I can go to my table of values, and I can see where I can find, and I love looking for and finding that middle point. Now what's interesting here is my vertex point. I don't have a point in between, which means that it's not going to be a whole value. So if I have an A value of 2, a B value of negative 6, and a C value of 3, my vertex is equal to negative B over 2A, my x coordinate, or my x value. So x is equal to the opposite of negative 6 over 2 times A, which is 2. So I end up with 6/4, which is the same as 3/2. So my axis of symmetry, x is equal to 3/2. I'm not surprised to see that that's a fraction that's between, that's 1.5. So that's between 1 and 2 for where my graph folds in half. When I want to find my y coordinate with that input value, the fastest way is to go ahead and substitute in. So y is equal to 2 times 3/2 squared minus 6 times 3/2 plus 3. And I can go to my graphing calculator and I can go to my home screen and I can type in what I see. 2 times 3 divided by 2 squared minus 6 times 3 divided by 2 plus 3, and I get negative 1.5. And if I want to put that into a fraction math frac, will do that for me. So negative 3/2. So positive 3/2 and negative 3/2 is going to be my vertex. And this graph opens up like a cup because it's positive. So my maximum is going to be my none, and my minimum is going to be this vertex. So 3/2, negative 3/2. My domain, again, all real numbers. In my range, this time, everything from this bottom point on up. So I'm including an output value of negative 3/2 all the way up to infinity. My x-intercepts are going to be my zeros. So I can go back and I can look at where this crosses the x-axis. It's not pretty here, so I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but I can get my y-intercept. That one's nice and pretty. So over 0, up 3. My increasing intervals are going to be from this vertex point on up to infinity. Here's where my graph is increasing and going up. It is decreasing from negative infinity up to where this vertex happens at 3/2. As x gets smaller and smaller and bigger, my graph gets bigger and bigger, so this goes up to infinity. All right, I got to come back for these x-intercepts. So Desmos is much easier for this one. You can just click on and see where those intercepts are. For us, we need to do second calc, and I can find my 0. And I put my blinky to the left and the right of my blinky. Press enter twice, and it tells me 0.6339. So we'll round that to 0.634 is my 1 0. I'll get my second 0 by again going to second calc, choosing 0. And I'll put Mr. Blinky to the left, I'll put him to the right, press enter twice, and 2.37 is going to be my other 0. Again, if you're using Desmos, that certainly is easier. All right, here we have intercept form, and with intercept form, I know that when x minus 4 is equal to 0, I have one of my zeros right here. And I know when x plus 2 is equal to 0, I have my other 0 right here. So I can jump right away and say that I know that 4 and negative 2 are going to be my zeros. This coefficient of 2 means that the graph is going to be a little skinnier. So I'm going to go ahead and enter this in 2 times x minus 4 and x plus 2. It's pretty cool that we can enter in whichever format of the equation that we want, and we can totally see that how that graph works. So we know that this graph kind of goes way down and way up for our sketch for sure. We can go to our table of values, and I know that my axis of symmetry is going to be exactly in the middle of negative 2 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3 in. Here is where that axis of symmetry happens, and my vertex means that I have that input value of positive 1. So an input value of positive 1. So I can figure this out over here. Y is equal to 2 times 1 minus 4 is negative 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 times negative 3 times positive 3 sounds like negative 18 to me. And my axis of symmetry is x is equal to positive 1. There is no maximum on this graph. And my relative minimum is going to be that vertex point over 1 down 18. Anything can go in, but the only things coming out are going to be from negative 18 on up to infinity. I already got my x-intercepts. My y-intercepts, I'm going to put a 0 into here. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. 0 plus 2 is 2, so negative 4 times 2 is 16. So yeah, I guess negative 16, right? Is going to be my y-intercept. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times 2 is going to be negative 16. All right, so I'm increasing from my x-coordinate of my vertex on up to infinity, and decreasing from my negative all the way up to the x-coordinate of my vertex. And my end behavior here both heads to infinity. All right, so in both of these I neglected to put the table of values in. Let me quick fill that in for this one. So 1, negative 18, and I could do 0, negative 1, and 2 and 3. So here's negative 16 as a symmetric point, and 0 as a symmetric point. All right, so let's check out this last part of the homework. And this is kind of cool. Find the missing information using your calculator. And of course, you were allowed to use Desmos to do that. Entering these in and coming and checking your vertex, x and y intercepts, minimum and maximum. So if you haven't done it, go do it now and come back and check your answer. Okay, how did you do? Both of these graphs were positive, up like a cup, which means there's no maximum, but that vertex is going to be your minimum for both of these. This graph is down like a frown because of this. And it's interesting, this one sits right on the axis, doesn't it? Right? So my vertex and my x-intercept are the same. My y-intercept, of course, is the c value. Did you notice that? Where I have the 2 and the negative 2. No minimum, because it decreases forever, and then this maximum is going to be its highest point. All right, I hope that homework went well. Good luck on the quiz review, and then the quiz.